Challenge today is kind of contending with dog days conditions. It's the middle of August. It's not as hot as it could be for August. It's maybe mid to upper 80s or something like that, but we haven't had rain in several days, so everything's kind of low and calm, and fish are probably a little bit fussy. I'm going to try to contend with the conditions in a couple of different ways. One is fish in a river instead of a lake. You've got the moving water, and that just keeps it a little cooler, keeps the fish just a little bit more active. They don't get quite as passive in the rivers as they do in the summer, as they do in the lakes. Another is fishing with small baits, and I'll talk about that a little bit more as I fish, but fishing with small baits and using finesse type of tactics that appeal to fish that again are just a little bit fussier. And finally, I'm fishing real close to home. It's a park close to home, easy access. So if it turns out it's too hot and the fish don't want to cooperate, not a lot invested, just fun to get out here for a little while. So see what happens. I mentioned that I'm fishing with pretty small baits. I'm starting out with a tandem rig. I have two baits on there, and it's the Bobby Garland itty bit slab hunter. The itty bit series by Bobby Garland are 1 1/4 inch soft plastic baits that are smaller versions of other Bobby Garland baits, and they're really for these finesse type situations, whether it's like this or when the crappie are eating little bitty forage, or for ice fishing, just lots of places where you need a really small bait. And I'm using the Itty Bits jig heads. They have a number 8 hook on them, and one is 1/64 ounce and the other is a 1/48 ounce, and got 2 of them on there, and they're just little tiny baits, and I'm just gonna fish them pretty inactively, just holding it down in place and jiggling or letting it drift a little in the current, and so it looks like something real unimposing even if fish aren't real active. Oh, there's a little guy. Looks like we got a chub here. The chub and bluegill are probably the most likely fish to catch. There's a lot of species that live in here, but I'm guessing the chub and the bluegill are going to be the most common. Probably saw that chub wasn't exactly a trophy fish, but that's far from a concern with what I'm doing out here today. Really just more looking for a little bit of activity. I'm not really expecting to catch anything big. There's always a possibility that a bass might latch on, or a big bluegill, or there's even get occasional trout here, more so when the weather and the water is cooler. We're a little bit downriver from where the trout normally are in the middle of the summer, but that's always a possibility. But again, anything that makes the rod tip wiggle is good for me for today. We didn't catch many in the first spot. We're going to get ready to move to a little bit different spot on the creek, but we got a little variety. Got a bass, a bluegill, and a chub all from the same spot. So that's kind of part of the fun of this type of fishing is you get a nice little mix. I snagged a bush, or snagged a tree limb down there, and my lure hung up, but I broke off one of the 2 baits, and that's probably just as well. A little tiny bluegill or panfish, or some type of sunfish. Yeah, it looks like a bluegill, maybe a green sunfish. But with all this cover around here, the tandem probably wasn't the best thing. Not looking for a big fish, looking for maybe a little bigger than that, but still fun. Oh, there's a little something. Looks like another bluegill. Tiny bit bigger than the last one, but still not very big. He was just down there deep in that pool. I had one other thing I wanted to try in this spot before I switch back to my itty bit, which I still think is kind of the primary for the situation. It's a little swim bait that's part of the new Rebel Live Flex series. It's called the Shore Shiner. It's just a little narrow swim bait, and thought if there was a bass tucked down in that pool or something that it might catch the attention. So I figured I'd give it a few casts. My daughter waded across the stream up the way and found her a little spot next to a log, and she's got about half a dozen bluegill just dipping that itty bit in and kind of drifting it along, and catching quite a few that way. I have switched back to the itty bit lure, which is what we've caught. I guess between my daughter and I, we've got about a dozen fish on at this point. Tried the other baits for a little bit. That sometimes you have other ideas and just kind of gotta get, oh, there's something. Gotta get them out of your system. Little tiny guy, little green sunfish it looks like. Well, I've caught fish in a handful of spots. We're gonna try one more little spot here with this tree down. It doesn't look like there's a ton of casts we can make, but it's nice. Could be nice cover for the fish. So we'll try drifting these around a little and see if we catch anything else before it's time to go back. Oh, just had a hit, but I missed him. Try dropping it right back in the same spot again. We're getting a few hits from some seemingly real little ones here, but not a whole lot happening. Really not a lot we can access without really wading out in this soft mud. So I'm not really sure how many fish we caught. When my daughter was across the stream, she caught quite a few, so don't know the number, but it's been a fun afternoon just fishing the little baits and catching mostly bluegill. Fun way to spend a midsummer day.